Merry Christmas and welcome to another Parry's Pickups. Back in the UK now, as you can probably see by the surroundings. Back home for Christmas. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas day, maybe got a few gaming gifts. I'm going to take this opportunity now it's Boxing Day, now things have sort of, slowed down just a little bit, to share a few recent pickups with you. These are things that I purchased on eBay when I was back in Denmark, as per usual. We'll start off with a few original Xbox games. First of all, a game that I used to have once upon a time, and when I was culling my games collection back in the day, it was to me it was an unnecessary sequel to have because I hadn't finished the game, the previous game in the series. This game is Jedi Knight Jedi Academy for the original Xbox. Now last time I had it on, I think, the Xbox as well, and it's a fairly inexpensive game. It's Star Wars, and I have quite a large Star Wars game collection, and this was one that was missing since I got rid of it. Yeah, so now I've kind of gone back on this idea of, finishing the previous version before getting the other one to be completist, and to say well, I've got it, it's there for when I eventually do finish the last game in the series, which was Jedi Outcast, I think it was called. This one's cool because there's more of an emphasis on lightsabers, and from what I remember about playing it briefly the first time round was it was playing a sort of, or you could have the option of playing sort of third person perspective, which I think has been the Jedi Knight Dark Forces games for a while. But that's that one. Moving along, Dead Man's Hand. Now, I had no intention of picking this up until I watched an episode of GameSack fairly recently, where they were doing a retrospective on the original Xbox, and they highlighted this particular game. And I thought, great, I really wanted a Western type game, cowboys, but with a first person perspective. Now, there is Gunslinger on the PS1 and Gunslinger 2 on the PS2, I think, which are a light gun Western games. But this one is a standard first-person shooter with a few little twists. You play a game of poker in between the levels to get upgrades and such, which is a nice little touch. And it's fun, it's well made, and I'd say rather enjoyable. And I'd never really thought of it was much cop until I saw it featured on this GameStack episode, and it actually looked really good. And I can it's a fairly solid experience and very inexpensive. I got it for about £3 delivered. So do check it out if you like cowboy games. And last of all, a game which my friend Maddie recommended to me. That's X-Men Next Dimension. Now, I am a collector of fighting games, and I've got a fairly complete collection of one-on-one fighters from, well, I think I've got pretty much everything on the PS2. Pretty much, that was released in Europe, at least, and maybe the States too. Of course, there's a lot more Japanese games, which I have a few of. But yeah, I make a point of, I like playing fighting games. I like experiencing different ones, and this one was one that completely passed me by. A fairly inexpensive game that I had no idea about. It's a sequel to the X-Men Mutant Academy series, which is pretty good. Solid series back on the original PlayStation, and from what I've played of this, again, it's a good entry into that series. It keeps the same standard quality of gameplay, and yeah, I decided to get it on the Xbox as opposed to the PS2 because I prefer games on the Xbox to the PS2, so it's a no-brainer for me to get on that system. Some may argue that maybe the PS2 controller would be better for a fighting game, but I find the Xbox One, plays perfectly well for this. So that's X-Men Next Dimension. Now I'm going to move on to a couple of GameCube games when I could find them. Here they are. So just recently I started thinking a little bit about superhero games and having a superhero game of a particular superhero character on every system. Now I focused on SpiderMan recently. So again, Maddie had recommended to me that he enjoyed his time with this particular game, and that's the original Spider-Man based on the first Sam Raimi movie. And it's made by Treyarch, who continued to make the Spider-Man games for some time. And I think they also handled the Dreamcast port of the Spider-Man game, which was fairly popular, that was released back on the PS1, which I also picked up recently. This I've had yet to play. I've seen a few video reviews on it. It looks very much to me like it was the first stab at doing a really good open world Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 2 I think managed to refine the formula pretty well, and that's a great game. This one I feel is going to be slightly behind in terms of the quality that game delivered, but still I think it, from what I've seen, does a reasonable job of letting you be Spider-Man. And I enjoyed that first movie. I enjoy all the Sam Raimi movies of Spider-Man. Quite controversially, I even liked the third one. I didn't have too much beef with it, to be honest, but that's Spider-Man. And there's something in here. Ooh, what's in here? Oh, nothing interesting, just the... I thought I was getting some special cheat codes then, but it was just the... what's that called? Feedback registration card. You know, you don't see these in games nowadays, do you? You don't see these either. These are called instruction manuals. They're pretty cool, especially when you're stuck and you don't know the controls. Because back in the day, tutorial modes weren't as comprehensive as they are nowadays, and they'd often, especially if we go back to the PlayStation 64 era, rely on you to read the instruction manual. But there we go. That is Spider-Man, and we move on to another superhero, DC this time, and we've got Batman Vengeance. This is a game based upon the animated Batman series. And yeah, it retains, I'm just looking at the back there, there's some weird little character. It's a lot like the Hulk, but not the Hulk, because obviously this is DC. I'm not sure if that's meant to be Killer Croc or not. Possibly. Anyway, yeah, this game is meant to be the good Batman game for the GameCube, from what I hear. I don't think it's going to be amazing by any means, but a fairly solid third-person action-adventure game that really does nail the style of the animated series, which is, you know, stylistically that series is fantastic, and I'd hope it retains the voice actors also. So I can't say much about this one yet, because like Spider-Man I haven't actually sat down with it and played it, but I very much look forward to doing so. And yeah, that's that one. So I was going to do these next few videos, I'm going to do a few over this period while I'm back in the UK. So that was a video just highlighting some games from that particular console generation, you know, when we had the Xbox, the PS2 and the GameCube. But I've got a few odds and ends I want to put on some of these videos as well. So games that don't really fit into any other category. I've got a portable one lined up, and a slightly more retro one where you've got games from the Super Nintendo, the Saturn, the 3DO, the N64. So this is a game that doesn't really... I don't buy many of these type of games. It's a PC game. It's Sega Mega Drive Classic Collection. I had to remind myself then. Volume 1. And why would I buy this, may you ask? You know, I obviously... You know, I'm quite a big collector of video games. This contains Altered Beast, Comic Zone, Crackdown, Echo the Dolphin, Game Ground, Golden Axe, Shinobi 3, Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Harrier 2 and Vectorman. And of course, yes, I have got these games on other formats. Why did I want it on PC? Well, the reason behind this is my recent push to own a copy of, a legitimate legal copy, of course, of Sonic the Hedgehog on as many systems as I possibly can. And this was the most inexpensive way to get Sonic the Hedgehog on the PC. Other than downloading it on Steam. Now my PC is old and not good enough for that sort of thing. This is also a physical copy of Sonic rather than a digital one. Not that that's part of the criteria of me collecting these Sonic games, but I you know, if I can do that, I would probably prefer to go that way with it. Yeah, Unfortunately though, my PC is so old, and this is a more recent compilation, that it requires upwards of Windows XP, and actually my PC that's down here in this room is I think it's Windows, hang on, is it ME? It's ME. So it's yeah, it's fairly old, and probably too old to run this with. But there you go. Eventually, you know, I might end up inheriting or from someone who upgrades their laptop, a laptop maybe with XP on it, or I go out my way to purchase a cheap XP laptop or PC. No, I didn't really think about that when I bought this. It probably wasn't going to work because it's a newer compilation on my age-old computer down here. Anyhow, that's that. It was £3 delivered, not expensive, and happy to add it to my PC collection, which I think I've shared some of those games with you before on here, but I can't quite remember. I think I've waffled along long enough for this Boxing Day episode. I hope you continue to have a fun, festive period, and we'll see you again very soon for another Parry's Pickups. Bye for now, and game on.